This guy just did 10 minutes on bankroll management. He's telling people, hey, if you want to stick to that, you just turn this video off. This is like the biggest plot twist I've ever seen in a YouTube video right now.
Come on, let's go!
Welcome to Circles Off, episode number 154, right here, part of the Hammer Betting Network, and presented by Pinnacle Sportsbook. I'm Rob Pizzola, joined by Johnny from betstamp. How's it going?
Back in the saddle. Was I on last episode or not?
No, last week was Denny Montoro, horse racing better. Great episode, great feedback, by the way. Appreciate everyone who reached out. It was our first time doing horse racing. I'm not a horse racing expert by any means, so I had to try to navigate that with the knowledge that I had, but it's pretty good. We've been on a good run of interviews lately, honestly. I listen, I'm biased. I think we've been on a good run of interviews.
We've been on a good run. The show's doing well. We appreciate everybody's support. If you haven't already, like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Obviously. Someone wrote a comment last week, said, I think, what was I to appear on an episode? Plus 150?
Yeah.
Per ep?
Cash it.
Plus 200s, I think, is a fair line.
It depends on the type of episode. So when we're planning Circles Off, I know that if it's a certain type of episode, like the one we're going to do today, you're like a minus 2,000 to appear.
Today's a good one.
Even a good bet. Some other topics, maybe not so much, but we're going to do something that, the two most highly viewed videos in the history of Circles Off are reaction videos. They're the Simon Hunter appearance on the Ross Tucker podcast. The other one was the Line Maker Sports Can't Lose live in-game betting strategy. Spoiler alert, it can easily lose, that one.
In fact, it's very likely to lose.
Very losable is what I would say. Now, we haven't done one of these in a long time. Since our old studio, actually. So it's been a really long time. And to be honest with you, I don't know how you feel about this, Johnny. For me, part of the reason I haven't brought these to the table is that they're a little bit discouraging for me to do. And I'll explain why. Usually we do these reactions, and they're for people that have very large followings. Simon Hunter, Line Maker Sports, these guys are part of big brands that have tons of YouTube subscribers. And with these large followings comes an army of people that strongly believe in them. And we get this influx of comments about how myself and Johnny don't know anything about betting sports, or that we're here to sell you something. And truth is, yes, we want our brand, betstamp, to grow. Yes, we're advocates for Pinnacle, a sportsbook that I've bet at for pretty much my entire life. And yes, we want Circles Off to grow. That's the reality of the situation. We're not just doing content for the sake of doing content, but it is important for us to stick true to what we believe in, and that's real betting education. And I want to stress the word real betting education. And we're going to really lean into that heavily on Circles Off this month, but leading into football season, and you're going to see an evolution of this channel that's heavily focused on that going forwards. Now, you can consume anything we do right now for free. So yeah, we have our own brands that we promote. We're not selling you anything. Of course, we want this stuff to grow. We want to have personal success.
We're not selling anything right now. We don't want to get caught in a Peabody trap.
Good point. That was a big mistake by Rufus. Should have owned that one, but listen. We don't do controversial stuff just for the sake of doing controversial stuff. That's what we're getting at. Our beliefs are not formulated and rooted in all this garbage you're going to find all over the internet. Today's video has been highly requested for months, I would say if not years, from Circles Off subs. All right? I've received the video that we're going to react to today by many different people. I don't know if they interact with one another, but we're going to react to a video from Kyle Kirms. He is the creator and the host of the Sauce Network.
You may also know him as The Sauce.
The Sauce. Now, I know nothing about The Sauce, Kyle Kirms, literally nothing. To my knowledge, I've never interacted with him. I've never seen a video by him. This is going to be my first time viewing any of his content. Same for you, I would assume.
Rob sent me the video yesterday without me knowing that I wasn't supposed to watch it. I clicked into the middle, and I watched it for about a minute, and then I saw Rob's message saying, let's do a full reaction on air. So I'm not going to lie. I saw a minute, and boy, was it a doozy.
Okay. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that I'm going to get very triggered by this video because this is an obvious assumption based off people sending it to me. It's been requested by our audience. They know naturally what's going to get a reaction out of me. I want to remind people that the first and foremost goal is on the betting education front. I don't like people that misrepresent themselves and deliver bad advice, whether they know it's bad advice or not. I just don't like it. Nothing bothers me more. I'm going to try not to make this personal as best I can, but if I see bad advice being given out to a large audience, it's naturally going to make me upset. That's what it's going to do.
Yeah, I also don't really like doing these because like I don't want to
I don't
rip this guy apart, and we don't even know him personally. So I like you said, okay, well we will be.
We'll stick to the content.
We roasting the advice.
We'll stick to the content. For those of you who are finding us here for the first time, and maybe you came from the Sauces Network or Kyle Kirms and you were searching him on YouTube or whatever, I just ask that you be open-minded. Honestly, that's all. Like, I don't have a personal vendetta against this guy. This is just, honestly, these videos are a very good way to cover a variety of betting topics and do it in an entertaining way. Like, that's the reality of the situation. So if you do enjoy what you see here today, please consider subbing to our channel. Thank you to all the nails out there who helped us get over the 7K mark in this last week. Appreciate that. If you're still not subbed, make sure you sub here and smash that like button down below if you'd like to see more of this content down the road. Before we get into it, Johnny's wearing the hat, he's wearing the shirt. I do want to remind you really quickly, if you're not betting at Pinnacle Sportsbook and you have access to Pinnacle Sportsbook, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I'm just saying that in all honesty. Again, we've done this exercise about 1 billion times on the show. But if you were to just open up betstamp today, look at the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, whatever the hell's going on today, and you look at the best prices in market, you're going to see Pinnacle has the best price in market on pretty much every game, side or total, in some capacity. So bet smart, bet Pinnacle. There's a reason they've been in business for 25 years. They're a very reputable sportsbook. Make sure you check them out. Use code HAMMER if you do so in Canada. It does support us here on the show. Why are you laughing at me?
Honestly, bro, you're wearing a shirt that says Lamb of God. I made a hilarious joke with that same thing to somebody on the weekend, and I remembered that joke, and I laughed in my head. I gotta be honest.
You made a joke about Lamb of God.
Yes,
the band Lamb of God, or a joke involving the Lamb of God.
It was involving. I don't even want to say it. It's not even that funny. Nobody will find it funny. I laughed in my head. You asked me why I laughed. I had to come clean. But that is it. I didn't even know that was a band.
Lamb of God, 20 years ago.
In fact, I'm gonna take a quick pic of this now. I gotta send it to somebody. Do
you want me to smile?
No, we're good. The pic's already done.
Pic's done. All right. 20 years ago, this band, Lamb of God, put out an album called Ashes of the Wake, which is one of my favorite albums of all time and a throwback to my youth. And honestly, music got me through some dark times when I was a horrible bettor, like really bad bettor, debt, whatever. I could always fall back on music to get me through. Lamb of God made me want to smash things. Really enjoyed it. But speaking of making me want to smash things, we might as well get this kicked off.
All right, how to bet for income. Sports betting strategies with Kyle Kirms, a.k.a. The Sauce. Hit it, Zach.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. Got a bankroll management video for you. Very important.
Wait, pause already?
Yeah.
Look at this error. Why is this tennis in red?
So I just noticed the exact same thing. Is it supposed to be -2? For those who are listening, there's
no. You get for those of you listening, you got to come to the YouTube. Otherwise, we're not explaining everything on it.
That the red, it's either -2.97 units or should be in green.
Yeah. Anyways, continue.
Also, just really quickly, the title of the video.
I wanted to get this.
How to bet for income. Isn't that like a weird title? How to bet for income.
Bet for whatever. I'm fine with that. How to bet for
all right,
profit.
maybe I'm already getting way too nitpicky.
Rob's already rattled.
Also, this bottom thing with the odds is scrolling way too fast to get the odds. Watch how fast this is scrolling as we click play here.
This out before football season starts because football season is the most popular sports betting season of the year. So this is important stuff. Let's dive in. Welcome to The Sauce.
Oh, this is a banger intro.
The Sauce.
The Sauce.
Sauce.
Is Tua a weirdo? That was the title.
Hey, get the Sauce. All right,
that. I don't mind this guy.
Now, some of you may remember I put out a bankroll management video last year, I think around this time. That's more geared towards beginners. So if you're brand new to betting for income or sports betting in general and you want to learn how to do it right, make sure you watch that video first. I'll put the link up in the corner. Go watch that and then come back to this one. This video is specifically for people that are looking to bet for income. Now, if you just subscribe to my channel to get some picks here and there, lay down some money, have some fun, dope. Nothing wrong with that. But this video most likely isn't for you. By the way, when I
really quickly, Zach, sorry, there's gonna be a lot of pausing along the way as we usually do these. So he's established who this video is for.
It's for you.
This is guys like us. This is for guys like us that are betting for income. If you're a casual sports bettor, get the hell out of here. This is for guys who are going to make money betting on sports. We've established that.
All right.
Okay.
I say bet for income, I'm talking about drawing a salary, like a paycheck every 2 weeks, every month, however you set it up. So if that's the way you bet or that's the way you want to start betting, let's get into it. And I'm going to give you a fair warning before we start. It's boring. It's the most boring way to bet. There's nothing exciting about it. It's a grind. It's work, essentially. It really is work. It's the most boring way to bet.
He's sounding sharp right now, I will say.
But here's the thing. All right. There's a little... this is just nitpicking, by the way. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I actually think this is the most exciting way to bet. Like,
to try to win.
To try to win. I don't know why this method is not exciting. Like, would you rather just lose money or win money? I mean, listen... I don't know. I mean,
so far, he has not said a single thing that I disagree with.
It is a grind. I will say it is a grind. The amount of effort you put in is correlated to what you're going to get out of sports betting.
But this is how you do it. Now, the first step is obviously determining your unit size. I've already covered this in the other video, but I'll go through it really quickly. All depends on how frequently you bet, how many bets you place a year. Personally, I place about 4,000 bets a year. Last year, I placed 3,561. But for this video's sake, we'll say it's 4,000. 1,700 MLB bets, 1,000 NBA, 272 NFL, 350 college football, and 500 extras. Soccer, NASCAR, golf, tennis, etc. That comes out to be rough in the 3,500 to 4,000 range. Now, I know a lot of you just heard 4,000 bets a year and are like, get the hell out of here. Completely cool. Everyone's different. Everyone bets in a different style. I'm going to put up this chart. So for 2,000 or more bets a year, let's rock with 1% units. In between 1,000 and 2,000 bets a year, 1.5 to 2% units.
Okay. So I was actually okay up until now.
He's basically advocating that the more bets you make, the less percentage of your bankroll you want to put per unit size.
Right.
Which is obviously incorrect.
Yes. So... This is a bankroll management section that we're in right now.
If you make one bet, then you actually put 100% of your bankroll.
Well, exactly. That's a great way of putting it, right? Like, the fewer and fewer bets you make does not mean you increase the proportion of your bankroll. In fact, you should be betting based off of your edge or your perceived edge in a lot of cases. So, this is a standardized betting units, right? Like he's saying, if you have 2,000 or more bets, you do 1% units. You take but no, you don't. You could have a 0.5% unit. You could have a 4% unit. It should all be scaled depending on what your edge is. Now, if you were someone who had no edge whatsoever, or you couldn't quantify your edge in any way, it's probably not a bad practice to do like 1% units and not deviate too much from that, because generally you'll just be able to survive longer with your bankroll. But this is supposed to be directed at people who want to make income from betting or pro bettors. And I mean, frankly, this is nonsense. You would never do this. So just as an example, right? You know, if you were going to get, the coin flip is the easiest for someone to understand, right? Because it's a 50-50, assuming it's not a weighted coin. But if you were going to get somebody who's going to give you plus 1,000 on a coin flip, and you just had to call whether it's going to be heads or tails, you would make a pretty large bet on that because of probability-wise, you know, you have an edge. You have 50% and you're getting much larger odds. Now, if it was minus 1,000 or something like that, or plus 100, where you don't have an edge at all, you wouldn't make a standard bet size of 1%. So it should all be relative to your edge.
Well, if you gave me plus 1,000 on a coin toss, I'd bet a lot more than 1% of my bankroll.
Of course, it'd be a massive bet.
I want to get into bankroll management for a bit with some real hard-hitting info. This is what no one really explains this in betting podcasts, but there's a couple of levels to bankroll management. It's different for everybody. There's no specific correct answer. And I'll go through the levels at which you should be at if you're like a beginner, middle, or pro. So when you start off betting, your bankroll should be, and as Rob mentioned, a percentage of how much money you have. Your bet size should be a percentage of how much money you have, and then you need to factor in and multiply that by the edge as well as the odds that you're betting. A good way to do this is using the Kelly criterion. We've used this multiple times. When you start betting, you do need to do this because it's like a lower chance of going bust and an easier way to maximize profits. What this does specifically is just ensure that if you have a 1% edge on a minus 200, you're betting a little bit more, staking a little bit more than if you have a 1% edge on a plus 2,000 future. So that right there is the way that everybody starts. Eventually, what happens is you start to realize that there's certain bet types that are going to be way higher edges, and they might not be around for a long time. So you really need to kind of like push these to maximize this. So in this scenario, what you do is you kind of throw away the previous bankroll management, and you say, all right, technically, if I could continually bet this forever, this would be the proper way to do it.
Right.
But then what you actually need to do, because that thing doesn't last forever, or you may not have that betting account forever because of limits and things like that, is you need to figure out the way to optimize your bets for that account. And in some cases, that might be, and again, obviously bet responsible, but the optimal strategy may be to bet $1,000 per bet on that account, even though your technical bankroll should say to only bet 280. That is the best chance to optimize that lifespan of that account, because there are other things such as limits, which most people watching his video probably don't even know about. And then the third stage is, simply put, you're going to have, if you really do it successfully, you're going to have enough money in your bankroll that optimal Kelly sizing of how much you should bet is going to be significantly higher than what you're even able to bet on that game because of the restrictions that have been imposed on you by the sportsbooks and the network you have. In which case, you're not going to even have to worry about bankroll management at all. Instead, what you're going to do is just bet the most amount you can on every single edge that you possibly have, because your Kelly is going to say, bet $8,000 on this, and the max bet's going to be $500. So those are the stages of bankroll management. However, in terms of like practicality, if anyone's coming over from this page and actually, wants to know how do you do it, when you start, there should be absolutely no correlation with how much you're betting, of a percentage of your bankroll, and how many bets you're making. It should be directly related to the edge you have and the odds of the bet.
Yeah, I mean, just ask yourself this: like, if you were betting the NFL, and he's making this before football season, but the spread in the game, you want to bet two different games. The spread is minus 5.5 in both of those games. In one of the games, you think that the favorite should be -6. In the other game, a little bit more extreme, but you think the favorite should be -10. You would want to bet more on the favorite that you think should be -10 when the spread is -5.5. You wouldn't want to be standardizing your units. You wouldn't want 1% on both of these. So again, depending on your edge size, you're going to want to increase or decrease your units, not the number.
And because there's a lot of sharps here actually listen to this pod, and I do want to give out some even more info, is like, if you have a betting account and you really can only be affording to bet $200, but that bet will take 1,000 in its fresh limits, it oftentimes is actually just worth it to not even bet there and save more money. Make more money on other accounts, save up your money until you can afford to bet 1,000 there, and then go use that and optimize it. Just another tidbit for a lot of people out there.
All right, keep it going, Zach.
And anything 1,000 or less, let's say 2.5, 3 max. Now this is important. I strongly recommend you do not use anything greater than 3% units. Nothing greater than 3% of your bankroll. When your units are that big, one cold streak could clean you out. And that's what betting for income is about, by the way. Most people think it's about the winning. No. It's about betting in a way that protects you against heavy losses, because cold streaks happen. They happen to anyone. The best handicapper on the planet will have a losing.
So there's a lot of truth to some of that. And you want to reduce your chance of completely going bust. However, again, you don't just pick arbitrary points of like, I should never bet more than this amount. There's going to be opportunities where you should bet more than that amount on a game, period. And listen, there's variance in sports. Sometimes those big bets are going to lose and it sucks. But it's no different, and I'm drawing like a lot of comparisons to maybe other things that people have done before and they understand. But it's the same as the guy who goes and sits down and plays blackjack and just never doubles down because it's a bigger bet and he's scared to lose it. That is your edge as a player. When you got that 11 against the dealer 6, you got to double it because you have an advantage at that point. And there's some people who just take it too cautiously because they're like, I want my bets to all be standardized. I don't want to put too much money on the table. You might as well not play at that point. So that's my point. 3 to 4%. Like, again, I've made bets that are a much bigger percentage of my bankroll because of the edge size. Yes, everyone has cold streaks. You can't avoid them. But if you have a chance and you know it's a realistic edge and you're going to be betting a little bit more than you're comfortable with, it's, oftentimes still a great bet.
For the most part, though, he's saying don't make your standard unit size 3 to 4% of your bankroll, which I do think is good advice generally.
Yes, agreed with that.
Losing month here and there could happen to anyone. You can't stop it. If you're putting in the work, putting in the research, or you subscribe to a handicapping service that you trust, the winning days will come. So it's a matter of managing the losing days in between the winning days. Once the season starts, or once the quarter starts, a lot of people break it into 3-month segments. So whatever, once it starts, you should never have to make a deposit into your account. The only deposits you make into your account should be to add to your bankroll, to increase your unit size, never to replenish losses. If you're coming out of your pocket to make deposits into your betting account to replenish the account after losses, then most likely you're not betting correctly, or there's a chance you just had the most unlucky cold streak of all time, which...
Okay, not a lot to say here. Again, just for a little bit more of advanced betting strategy, right? A lot of what he's saying is likely correct. If you're betting with an edge, you're probably going to get unlucky if you have to redeposit at some point or another.
No, I completely disagree with that.
Okay.
The way to bet is to use multiple betting accounts.
For
minimum 10, 20 accounts. So if that's the case, your bankroll might be, for simplicity, $100, and you might have $5 dispersed across 20 sites.
Right.
So if your bankroll's $100, you're going to frequently have bets that are $2, $2.50, $3, $5 bets. So you could be putting 100% of that account, or in 2 bets of that account on one specific outcome. If you go 0-2, you're going to have to replenish accounts. Overall, you're going to win, but certainly it's actually very, very valuable, and you're always going to need to deposit into accounts, or even just think about it if you're playing on credit or whatever, like post up and different. You're going to lose in certain accounts and go busting them and have to replenish them every time.
So it was sort of the same point I was going to make, maybe not the exact same because I haven't like busted an account with like 1 or 2 bets before, but generally speaking, if you are betting with an edge and you do have to redeposit, you are probably getting unlucky to lose those bets and have to put more money in. But I was also going to get into like some more advanced strategy, and this is my own personal opinion. Some other sharp people will disagree with me on this. Maybe Johnny does or whatever. Nowadays, I do find that it is advantageous for you to be a donkey when you first open an account. Okay, some people don't like to do this. They just like to go in, win money. If they get banned or limited, that's fine. They maximize the account. I do think that there's scenarios where you're better off going in and just playing like someone who's coin flipping. And if you have to make a redeposit, it's not the end of the world because you've likely been profiled on that account as a recreational bettor, a square or something like that. And that's going to prolong your account over time. So it's not, it's to each their own type of situation, but there's lots of situations where you will deposit into a sports book and you will lose money and have to redeposit, or you might want to actually just top up that account because you notice that, okay, I'm down here, but I'm getting a lot of volume through this account. I'm going to need more funds in this account. So that will happen pretty regularly.
Yeah, nothing wrong with re-upping. Obviously, if you don't have an edge and you are, let's say you said for the season, my bankroll's $1,000 and you lost that Gino, and then now you're like, oh, I got to put another 1,000. Take it easy.
I don't think the Circles Off fans are going to be a big fan of you calling it a Gino.
What, 1,000?
Yeah. I like it personally.
Has anyone not called 1,000 a Gino?
Some people don't like your lingo, man, with certain things.
A lot of people have called it a Gino, for sure.
Gino.
A Gene, maybe not. Like, say, one G. Yeah, what's wrong with that? 1G.
I have no issue with it. I'm just merely pointing out that your terminology
10 Gs. You never said that before.
Yeah, of course. I've never said 10 Ginos.
Because, yeah, you don't have it. You don't have it like that. All right. I've also noticed this guy's just had a phone in his hand the whole video. Maybe he references it later, but he's been holding it.
No, he used it already. When he was listing his percentage of bets.
Oh, his notes, his notes are probably on there.
Yeah, he's probably got notes.
Go ahead.
Notes, yeah.
Does happen, but if you're betting properly, that should be really, really rare. Now, here is the hardest part of all of it, staying disciplined, because this industry is flooded with bullshit. I mean, there's nothing but bullshit when you open your phone. Yo, look at this $25,000 parlay. Let's retweet the shit out of this. Yo, $60,000 parlay. Or you got the guys like, yo, here comes another Mega Max Hammerhead Whale Lock 12 units or whatever the hell those idiots say. So while you're grinding your ass off, right, you're putting in all this work. Maybe after 2 weeks, you're up like 4 units, like not even a great couple weeks. You're grinding for what seems like not much money because you're building towards the future. And then every time you open Twitter, here are these assholes. Here are these like scammer frauds just posting absolute bullshit. Don't pay attention to it. Mute those shitty accounts if you have to. Stick to the plan. I promise you, just stick to the plan. Keep in mind, it's all bullshit. Anyone who bets like that is not a professional handicapper. They've never bet for income, I can guarantee you. And parlays are mathematically bad bets. We know this. The math is simple. They're stupid bets.
Stop. Now we have to stop. So there is we got like a minute here where I actually agree with some things. I think for a lot of people, they see people posting stuff on Twitter or in their Discords or whatever, and it's very easy to get conned into thinking that that person is a winner and you need to tail them if you don't know any better. There is some truth and some elements of truth to that. The dead giveaway usually is the guys who are posting like $10,000 tickets from recreational sports books. That's almost certainly an indicator. Or I've recently seen guys posting like $500 free bets from rec books. Like, you're not getting those free bets unless...
More obvious than that is no one who's actually making money betting is posting their slips.
That's true.
Especially not with the ticket numbers, with the ticky numbers.
I have posted slips, though, and I've made money betting before.
But have you posted with ticket numbers?
Never ticket numbers. You always got to black that out. But sometimes, like, you just want to shut somebody up, honestly.
I think ticket numbers is more important than whether or not they post slips.
Yeah.
Because, like, we've seen a lot of people in our Hammer network do it as well that we know for a fact are winning.
Well, you never know anything.
You never know for a fact.
You never know anything for
allegedly.
Fact. Allegedly.
Before you touch on the parlays, I know you're going to decimate him here. I think he might have gone deeper into the parlays. Maybe not, but go ahead, Zach. Hit it for 1 second. If not, we'll pause it back.
I'm not saying they don't win every once in a while. Just saying they're mathematically dumb bets. I promise you, for every parlay winner you see on your Twitter feed, there are millions and millions of losers that didn't
That's
get
probably
posted.
accurate.
I promise.
Okay.
No, wait. Let him go on parlays. I want to see if it's done. Like,
okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'll let him finish this. I'm stupid.
You're jonesing, brother. You're jonesing.
If someone posts on their Twitter account a picture of a winning scratch-off ticket that won $10,000, does that all of a sudden mean scratch-off tickets are a good investment? Of course not. You want to know why that's the content that you always see? From reputable betting accounts, too. Not just sports books. You'll see it from, I don't want to name any names, but you'll see it from reputable companies pushing these big parlays, these big winners. Want to know why you're seeing that? Because that's what the sports books want you to see. That's how they want you to bet.
This guy's redeeming himself
the
hard.
sports books do not want you slow grinding 1% minus 110s on them. I promise you they don't want you doing that. Now this
100%.
next...
Okay. So lots to unpack there.
He's accurate on everything except the parlays are bad bets.
First and foremost, parlays are not mathematically bad bets if you have an edge. And he's describing betting for income, which means that his bets he's making are having an edge. This is one of the biggest. We did a betting myths episode. It's like one of our first 10 episodes that we ever did, and this was one of them. It was audio only. Parlays. If you suck at betting and you do not have an edge, and you're going to be a lifetime loser, don't bet parlays, because you're already going to lose, and you're taking bad bets, and now you're compounding them. It's bad. If you are a winning bettor, compounding bets with an edge is advantageous to you. Plain and simple. If you have 6 edges in one game or across one night, your edge is actually larger if you parlay them. Now, obviously you succumb to variance more. You're less likely to win that bet. But in the long run, this is actually a good move. So
your edge is just larger because you're just betting more money on the better bets. But yeah, it's not actually like your edge individual leg is not changing. It's just when you compound better bets, your overall wager is going to be more profitable in the long run.
Correct. Yeah, maybe I'm like just in a state of fury.
You know what's crazy is I don't know if this is true or not, but you know what? It's true for the sake of this argument. It's true. This is why the parlay was invented. All right. So what most people fail to realize is this is what a parlay is. Okay. So, I'm going to talk Eastern Standard Time here so everyone could understand that. You have your 1 p.m. NFL kickoff, Jets, Bills. You got your 4 p.m. Lions, Buccaneers, and you got your Sunday night football, Vikings, Packers. Okay. All the parlay is, if you do $100 parlay, you take Jets, who I said in the second game, and Vikings. If you just take Jets, Bucks, Vikings, okay, 3-team money line parlay, $100. All you are doing is getting the exact same odds as if you bet 100 on the Jets, waited for the game to end, took your 100 plus the winnings, dunked that onto the Bucks, waited for the game to end, took your winnings plus the new winnings, dunked that on the Vikings, waited for the game to end, took your winnings plus the winnings. That is literally the exact math that is happening in your parlay to a T. The reason why they invented the parlay is because A, it's a lot of work to do that, but mainly is because there's 10 NFL games on at the same time, and they didn't want people to have to wait for the games to cash so that they can actually just bet all of them at the same time and sweat 3 games on 3 different screens. That was, and there's a historic fact, you can look it up. That was why the parlay was invented.
I believe it and didn't know that. Remember somebody asked us about teaser history before. I have no clue on the history of betting. I would fail miserably on this if this ever came up, but I do believe that. Also,
I hope you guys realize I made that up. I don't know if that's why the parlay was invented.
It's actually very believable.
But comment down below, why was the parlay invented?
Just to add to that, while we're this is supposed to be an educational episode, if you're going to do that on NFL Sunday, you want to parlay 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern time or whatever, and you're going to be someone who wins the first 2, and then you're like, should I hedge the third one or whatever? If you're going to hedge the third one, don't include it in the parlay in the first place, because then you're just going to be paying vig back the other way. There's no point in ever doing that. You're double vigging.
Double taxation.
You don't want to do that. Zach already did that when he signed up for Circa Millions last year. He's learned his lesson. He's not going to do that again. No more double vig for Zach. But
you know who invented the parlay? It was actually Marco Parlay.
Marco Parlay. How did I not think of that? Second point I want to make. Listen, there is some legitimacy to if all the sports books are promoting something, it's probably not good, but some people take that a little bit too far as well. One example would be the odds boosts that are offered at many sports books, where there's some people who've galaxy brained themselves into thinking that whenever there's an odds boost, the sports book must know something. These are just simple acquisition and retention tactics that are used by the sportsbook to keep you in the door. But odds boosts, especially for someone who's betting for income, if it's a small amount, or really looking to get their bankroll rolling and start at the beginning, those could be a great way of making money, even though they're heavily promoted. So don't always get stuck in the sportsbooks are promoting this, I should steer clear of it. Sometimes you can actually use those things to your advantage as well.
I wanted to include in the video because through meeting a lot of people in the past 2 years doing this, I've met so many people, even just on the internet, Instagram DMs, live chats on the website. I've met so many different bettors, right? And I noticed that this is where a lot of people are at. Whenever I talk about money management, they'll hit me up and be like, yo, Sauce, yo, Kyle, I love it. It makes perfect sense. That method makes perfect sense. I want to do that. Here's the thing. I just don't have the bankroll to do it. That's very common. To those people, this is what I want you to do. And I want you to hear me out. Spoiler alert, you're going to hate it. But this is what I want you to do. Let's say you only have $500 to bet with right now. Oh, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. A large majority of people in the world will go through good times and bad times. Just because you happen to be in a bad spot financially in your life right now doesn't mean you're any better or worse than someone that happens to be in a good one. I hate that. That's another thing about this industry I've noticed, and I hate. I see it in comments all the time. People act like because they bet more, their opinion means more than other people. It's complete bullshit. I hate it. So
Pause that. I disagree with that, by the way. This is very egotistical of me, but I actually think if you do bet more and if you're doing it for a living, that your opinion on that sport means a lot more than someone who's betting $5.
That is fair. That is fair.
Like
that,
if someone's betting $100,000 on an NFL game, their opinion means a lot more than someone who's betting $10 on an NFL game.
The stipulation is they're doing this for a living.
No, honestly, even not professionally.
Dude, Dave Portnoy's betting more.
We can get into that conversation. Portnoy is as much as people hate him, he's very successful. I don't know that his opinion means more on
That's my point, though.
The game.
Yeah, that's my point.
I don't know that his opinion means more on the game.
Dude, John,
Like,
come
John.
on.
Yeah, this is where I draw the line.
Are we talking about Davey Day Trader?
I'm a big Portnoy fan, honestly.
So am I.
I especially loved when he called Joey Knish like the card counter. Like
I would still say I might back him here if he's betting 500,000 on the game.
It's because he can afford to do that. That does not make his opinion better.
Then $5?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Dude.
It doesn't.
He had to think about that still. He's not. I know. He's loaded. He's absolutely loaded. He's got coin. Still $500K.
This is a good one to put down into the comments below for some debate. I can see where you're coming from.
Sometimes he is using those to promote other shit and whatnot. So like, all good. He's getting the money back somehow. But if you're dunking $1 million,
yeah.
Okay, maybe. You know what? Maybe. I don't know.
I will say this: the best bettors' opinions are pretty much exclusively the only opinions that actually matter to me nowadays. Like, I cannot listen, and maybe this is just a reflection of me, I cannot listen to like Toronto sports radio anymore to listen to them talk about the Blue Jays and the Maple Leafs. It's like, I don't care. Like, tell the people who have analyzed this sport and successfully made money off of it, that's the opinion that matters.
You mean like if they say the Leafs are a better team without Matthews because they won those 2 games, but really, yeah, okay.
But the betting market is moving in the complete opposite direction. It's like, yeah, your opinion is now no longer valid. I'm sorry. So I get it. I don't. And by the way,
put your money where your mouth is. That's the saying. That's the saying.
Within reason, but also I do agree with Sauce here, my boy Sauce. I don't like to demean people for betting small. If that's all you can afford to bet, then honestly, that's totally fine. Like, if you only have a $500 bankroll, to each their own. Listen, I mean, I was undercapitalized at some point in life where I couldn't bet a lot of money on sports, and that's fine. I mean, people would talk down to me for my unit sizes, but eventually I got to a point where I could bet a lot, and I'm okay with that. But in terms of the opinion, pure opinion, someone who's betting sports, NBA, professionally on a daily basis, that person's opinion matters a lot more than the person who's throwing together a $10 same game parlay on the NBA.
Yo, everyone starts off betting $10. Remember that, or 5, or 1. So,
or they start off betting a lot more and then they just can't bet afterwards.
And then they're at some point, here, I'll rephrase it. At some point, everybody bets $10.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Anyway, say you only have $500 to bet with, right? This is what I want you to do. Stick to the plan, and yes, that means maybe you're rocking with $5 units. And I know that sounds ridiculous, just hear me out. Let's say you're starting off with $500, $5 units. In your first 2 weeks, you're plus 7 units, which is solid. I always say in between plus 3 and plus 4 units a week is a solid, realistic, achievable pace. So plus 7 units in 2 weeks, that's good by me. But plus 7 units at $5 units is only $35 profit. There's only $535 in your betting account after 2 weeks of hard work. And I know a lot of you are thinking like, Sauce, $35, what's the point? Just stick to the plan and keep adding to it responsibly in small increments. I want you to treat your betting account like you're investing in a stock that you have faith in. For example, after 2 weeks of $5 units, you're now at $535 bankroll. Maybe you get a paycheck from work and you have an extra $50 to throw in there. throw it in there. You're at $585 now, $5.85 units. So let's say things don't go your way in the next couple weeks. Let's say you finish -2 units in the next 2 weeks. That's okay. We're betting smart. That's a $12 loss. Our bankroll is now down to $573. But we got another paycheck. We handle our responsibilities and pay your bills, rent, mortgage, whatever you have to do first, obviously. Maybe you have another extra $50 you can add to the account.
Just really quickly, a lot of this is valid, totally acceptable. If you are going to add to your bankroll though over time, make sure that you're tracking those as deposits, and that's not money that you've won through betting. So when you're calculating your ROI or how much your bankroll is increased afterwards, you want to figure out how much is actually increased betting rather than you just continuously piling in. There's no problem adding to your bankroll over time. If you got disposable income or whatever, there's no issue with that. Just make sure you track it that way.
I disagree with this a little bit. I used to think this was correct. Now I no longer do. If you are looking for a good app to track your bankroll, track your bets, use Betstamp. It's our company, but it is the best tracker on the market right now by a fair margin. Track your CLV. Pretty much you can add your books, you can do your accounting, you can manage analysis. It's great for beginners as well.
But do you disagree with
I was going to let
now
him
that
finish the thing before I go. No, finish it. Because that's
$623 bankroll, $6.23 units. Let's say we have an okay 2 weeks after that, plus 6 units. That's about another $37 profit, which brings us to $660. And we got another paycheck. Let's say this week we only have $25 to add. That brings us to $685, $6.85 units. The point I'm making, even if you are not blessed financially in life right now, if you stick to the plan and stay disciplined, in a year's time, you could be rocking with $50, $75 units. Also, when your bankroll has gotten up to the point where you have $50, $75 units, you also have 1 year of real handicapping betting for income experience under your belt too. You have learned what the grind is really like. So now at the end of the month with your $50 units, let's say you have a plus 12 unit month, that's $600 cash. You can withdraw it. There's your paycheck for the month, or you can leave it in there, let that bankroll keep going. Maybe your goal is to get to $150 units so you can draw X amount per week. By then you'll have your patterns down. The idea is get to a point where you can draw a salary. Now, I want to touch on
Stop there. What? Okay, I don't even know where this is going right now.
Okay, I got to disagree with them.
Okay, go for it. I was only laughing because of the 1 year grinding experience,
okay, go.
Which I had when I was 21 as well. 1 year grinding experience, local clubs in Toronto. But honestly, there's nothing in here so far. Here's what's bothering me. It's all about like, do this and your bankroll is going to grow another 3 or 4 units, and then you can increase your bet size. And then it's going to grow a little bit more, and maybe you have a losing week or whatever. But there's so far, and I hope we're getting to it at some point, there's nothing in here about how to bet for income. Like there's no indication of how to actually gain an edge. Like
and look what's on the screen, right? Can people see this on the YouTube, Zach?
Yeah.
Oh, we're in for a doozy. But let me disagree real quick here. So I used to think, start small, whatever. But I'm just going to say practically, you guys want the real advice? I'll give you the real advice. Anyone starting right now, if you have only $500, don't bet. And it's a serious advice because the only way to accelerate your bankroll growth at first is to milk bonuses. And you need to maximize those bonuses because you only have that one account. You got to max that bonus. And if you have, let's say, sportsbook A, Pinnacle doesn't do bonuses. They have the best juice anyway. So you got to deposit. You got to sign up at Pinnacle. Then you got to sign up at Sportsbook A. Sportsbook A is going to have a deposit $1,000, get a $1,000 match in bonus bet, free bet, whatever it might be. If you're not maximizing that, that's your highest EV move right now.
Yeah,
is to max that bonus. So if you only have $500 and you're putting that in, you got like, it's tough to say, and I don't want to be seeming like, I'm out of touch with reality, but like go make $2,000. You got to start with like $2,500. What's minimum wage these days? $15, $17. Go work for a month. Save your money for a month, 2 months, and then bet. Because you can't be starting off at $500 and not milking bonuses right away. It's the easiest way you're going to double your bankroll overall. Whatever you put in, you can essentially 1.5 to 1.7 exit betting correctly on that. So that I will disagree with.
I actually agree with you on that. There comes a point where you need a minimum amount in order for it to be like for a video that's called how to bet for income. Like you're not betting for income with $500 as a starting bankroll. That's
no.
like
And everyone starts with something, right? I'm not saying you have to start with 20 Gs, 10 Gs, but like realistically,
10 Genos.
10 Genos. Realistically, you need 2,500. You need 2,500 in local currency. You need 2,500 if you're in Canada, 2,500 CAD. If you're in the United States, 2,500 USD. That's what you roughly need to be actually able to stay alive, milk a couple bonuses, should be able to get that up, double that, and then you go from there, and then you start betting, $25, $50 unit size.
We're roughly 2/3 of the way through this video, but
And now I want everyone to comment below, because right now, up to date, he hasn't really, he said a few things that are off,
but
nothing crazy. And I did watch this part when I skipped ahead.
So there's a few things that I think are, I think there's some bad advice in here, mixed in with honestly some generic good advice. I don't think that there's anything so far. Very clearly, there's nothing that's going to turn you into a winning bettor or someone who's going to be able to bet for income, because it's all rooted in bankroll management stuff right now, which is fine. But bankroll management, if you don't have an edge, it's just going to make you lose like a little bit more slowly, is essentially what this is going to do. This is not going to help you win. You have to have an edge in betting to win. Like, you have to be able to decipher, this is an edge, the odds are in my favor, I'm going to bet. Just by betting into straight bets minus 110, first of all, minus 110, you should be, if you're line shopping and you're using multiple books, you should never be betting into minus 110. You cut that VIG down significantly. But so far, there's nothing in here. This should be how to lose money slower at betting. So far,
via betting less.
Via betting less. If I had to read it.
Comment below. Do you think this guy wins? Because I do still think there's a chance he wins. Spoiler. Up until this point in the video.
Very, very briefly, and it's important to take into account that this kind of goes against the philosophy I just described to you. So if you're trying to stick to the plan, absolutely, and play it as safe as you possibly can, turn this video off right now and don't watch this next part. The only
Stop for a second. This guy just did 10 minutes on bankroll management. He's telling people, hey, if you want to stick to that, you just turn this video off. But if you don't, we're going to talk martingale. This is like the biggest plot twist I've ever seen in a YouTube video right now.
Your old friend, Marty Gale.
Marty Gale. Oh my God, man. That's hilarious. He just went from, you bet this, use these standard bet sizes. You got 4,000 bets, 1% or more.
No, hear him out. Maybe he's got something.
Maybe he's got something on the martingale system. Sure. Okay, let's go.
The reason I'm including it in the video is I always keep it 100 in my videos, and I use this method. I use this system. So sometimes,
and if you commented below that you thought he was a winning bettor, you can delete your comment after hearing that.
Okay, we'll hear him out on the martingale. I know what the martingale system is. I know it's a horrible strategy. You should never use it in betting. We'll get to why in a second. He's going to make his points, I assume. Pro tip. You ever hear somebody talk about martingale system for betting, you can dismiss their opinion. I'll tell you right now, you can just, as a rule of thumb, straight rule of thumb, someone comes to you and says, I got this system for betting, it's called martingale or whatever, just that's all you need to know, that this person's opinion on the matter, on sports betting or whatever it might be, is not valuable. I say that in all sincerity. It's a horrible system. We'll get into why in a second, but let's see Sauce. Is he gonna make some points on martingale?
He's got some points.
Okay. Let's.
So I'd be bullshitting you by leaving it out or pretending like I don't. If you're unfamiliar with the martingale system, it's very simple. Basically, if you lose a bet, you double down on the next one, so you always finish up. For example, let's say you bet...
always finish up? That's the exact opposite of the system, by the way. First, I will say, been very negative so far. Naturally, that was going to happen. I do at least respect this guy. Like, the way that he led into this, he's like, listen, I own it. Like, I'm an honest guy. I'm going to tell you, like, I bet using this system. I do somewhat appreciate that. I honestly do appreciate someone who says, you know what, this is my style or whatever. Now it's not a good one, but I do
good production quality, and I'm digging that background music track as well.
I love the music track. We're going to incorporate into that. They should get rid of the odds at the bottom of the screen. That's just like a waste of space. And I think a lot of the lower screen real estate is not necessary per se, but I do like the production quality of this video.
Bet $50 on a game, you lose. The next game, you bet $100. So if you win, you're up $41 total, even though you're 1-1. If you lose, you're now down $150. But if you lose, your next bet is $200. So if you win, I think you're up like $32. You're in the green, even though you're 1-2 with your bets. If you lose, now you're down $350. If you lose, the next bet is $400, which would put you up like $20 or something. The point is, regardless of what your record is, you can go 1-6 and you'll still be in the green. Oh, yeah. That's the point. There is some logic to it. Obviously, it's a very dangerous way to play. I also feel
okay. So that was okay.
There is certainly some logic to it.
Yeah,
it's just
called
not
chasing losses.
Yeah,
that's the logic that every losing bettor has had over time, which is I've lost. Now I cannot possibly lose like 10 games in a row, so I'm just going to keep chasing this. I did some quick math on good old MS Excel over here. Remember at the beginning of the episode, he talked about $500 bankroll, right? It's $500 bankroll, so you can have a $5 bet, right? So if you're going to martingale,
starting with $5,
you lose $10, 20, 40, 80, 160, 320. That's 7 bets. You lose 7 bets, you're down $635. Your bankroll is gone.
Plus you're in debt to your parents.
Plus you lost your $500, plus you owe $135 on the street.
You lost your Jeep Rubicon.
And you're collecting interest on it. Now, let's say you're a coin flip bettor, 50%, which most people out there are. I'm sorry to say that, but like this is industry studies, right? The chances of you losing 7 bets in a row are 0.8%, 0.78%. Okay? That's not like super unrealistic. Okay? Out of 1,000 times.
We'll do it -10 as well.
Yeah.
Do -10, not coin flip better. Are you doing -10?
I'm doing 50%. Let's say you got 50% chance of winning your bet. 50% times 50% times 50%, all the way down, 7 bets. 0.78% of the time, you will lose all 7 bets. That's 7.8 out of 1,000 for those who don't know the percentages. That's not extremely unlikely, okay? Even if you have an edge in betting. Let's say you're a guy that hits 55% on NFL spreads. If you do hit 55% on NFL spreads, you should probably bet more. But if you're hitting 55% on NFL spreads, 52.4% is your break even. Now the probability of you losing your bet, 45%. 45% times 45%, all the way down, 7 times. You're still going to lose 7 bets in a row, 0.37% of the time. So basically 4 times out of 1,000. And you're fucked. That's it. Your bankroll is toast. It's gone. And then you're going to have a real hard decision with yourself of, I've now lost 7 bets in a row. Do I go get a loan from somebody else to try to win this all back in one shot? And guess what? You're at a 50-50 on that bet as well to win your 8. This is a bad strategy. Very bad. Reckless, I would say. Don't ever martingale. This is why earlier in the episode I said anyone who talks about martingale system, just dismiss their opinion entirely because it's a horrible betting strategy.
And furthermore, if you martingale and you do not have an edge, if you martingale coin flipping at -110, you will 100% of the time go bust. If you keep doing it. 100% of the time. So there's not like, oh, you can get lucky and make whatever. Sure, you probably will make money in the first one, probably. But it's at a negative EV play. So it's the same way as saying, yes, if I risk $100,000 to win $100 on some bet, probably I will make money. But that is overall a bad bet. And if you repeat that bet, and it's negative EV, over millions of times, you will lose money.
There is tons of literature available on martingale and why it's terrible. Like, for as much garbage as there is on the internet for sports betting, if you look up why martingale is a bad strategy, you will find tons of literature. All of it is correct. Don't do it. It's no different than the guy who's playing roulette and he bets black and it loses, and he doubles and bets. It's the same exact concept. You just don't do that. And the thing that really gets me about this video is if we were to go back to, 7 minutes ago on this video, he talked about how the goal with the bankroll management was to not go bust, basically. It's not all about maximizing your winnings. It's about preventing the big losses. And then gives out the strategy, which is absolutely 100% in the long run going to lead to you losing everything. Don't bet like that. Horrible advice. And I don't really know what else to say other than just completely stressing, do not bet that way. Like it's bad. And anyone who's watching this and has bet before, unless you're like extremely new to betting, if you have tracked your wagers, you're going to go through your tracked wagers and you're going to find a time where you've lost 7 games in a row, 8 games in a row, 9, 10. Happens on some days for me at some point or another. And that's another challenge with this type of system, by the way, is that now you spread out the games and you might have 4 edges on one day, massive edges. But if you're going to martingale, you can maybe only play, let's say all 4 of those games start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Well, you can only play one of them because you have to chase the loss afterwards, right? Like you're leaving 3 other edges on the table to run some sort of system where you can try to win your money back. Don't do it. Bad strategy.
If you take one thing away from this pod and you're a new bettor and you're looking to do it, do not do that.
Do not martingale. That's I can't. That's it. I mean, we can move on. I see a pie chart on the screen. I'm very interested in what's going to be coming on this one.
I should add that because there's so fewer football games than basketball and fewer basketball than baseball, I adjust the unit size accordingly. Like football, I'll play with 2.5%, like 1.5% in basketball, and then 1% in baseball. That has nothing to do with this video. I'm just sharing. That's what I personally.
So just furthering up on his bad advice from earlier of like adjusting his bankroll by sport.
Dude, I don't know why he just randomly insert. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention this earlier. Brings the pie. So he's like, he's done with martingale. Forgot to mention this earlier. Yeah, because there's less games in this. I mean,
also, isn't this a produced, edited video?
Yeah.
You could have just put that back in the other section.
Yeah, why did it have to?
No?
Zach, is there a reason why?
Zach, is that possible?
No, there's no reason. This could have easily been added at the beginning. It's the same chart from earlier.
Yeah,
it's the same. Back.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And he also made it very clear too, like, this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, it's just
like he could have been like, oh, I forgot to mention this earlier, but like I'm just throwing this in. He's also like, yeah, it means nothing about what I'm talking about right now.
He just doubled down basically on like the bet percentages, saying that the NFL has less.
That fair enough. He
doubled down on a previous opinion that was wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But and he made a mention of like not needing to insert. I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but this has nothing to do with anything. Anyways, I just found that very funny, actually. Good comedy there.
Personally do. You do what works for you. Now, the way I use this method is, let's say I have 2 or 3 losing days in a row. Let's say 3. I have 3 losing days in a row. On that 4th day, I'll double my unit size or significantly increase it. To recuperate some of my losses. Now, the reason I do that is number 1.
Wait, let me
finish this off. Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to be in a point in life where I have the bankroll to do it, which is very blessed to be in that position. And number 2, I've been doing this a long time, man. I know myself. I know my patterns. Sports betting is my literal life. You can check any of my social media accounts. This is all I post about. It's all I do. I don't have much of a social life. This is what I do, man. So I know a winning day is eventually going to come. Even if things look terrible, I trust in myself that the positive regression will come back around. By the way, you will get to know your patterns too if you follow the next step, and this is the final point I'm going to make.
Can you pause before we get this? Looks like a good point, actually. So I want to get into the other stuff. I mean, always track your bets. This is a very valid point. Okay, so he's basically so he basically said if you had multiple losing days in a row, up your unit size, which is the exact opposite of what you should do. Again, I don't understand this video because there's so much like preaching on stay disciplined with bankroll management and all this, and it just went off the rails.
He had us in the first half.
It went completely off the rails. Like he went from stay disciplined and then to like ignore all of that I said and use a martingale strategy, or if you've had a bunch of losing days in a row, just up your bet size. Like that.
To be clear, he said this. Sorry to cut you off. He said, this is how you should bet. And then he said, turn this video off. I'm going to tell you how I bet. And then he proceeded to say how he martingales. And then he's like, 5-3. He just said, never, you got to stay disciplined. That's the key to it. Stay disciplined and stay disciplined. And then he's like, 2 losing days in a row, double.
Yeah, he said betting pattern. I know my betting patterns. Nobody knows their betting pattern. I don't know what hell this means. I don't understand. There's certain people who are like this, right? Like we all have that friend. Would you break your headphones? Or you just taking them off? Getting annoyed there? Or?
We're in.
Okay, you're back in. We all have this guy in our lives. I have several of them, my friends, who are like, I'm hot. Like
okay, clip that, please.
No, okay. I'm hot. I'm pressing. I'm pressing units, right? I'm not losing bets, I'm pressing. Then you got that friend who's cold, and they're like, it's bound to turn. I'm pressing. Everyone just wants to press units, is what it comes down to at the end of the day. This is my entire network of friends. Either they're winning, and they're going to lose it all back because they think that they're hot, and the hot streak doesn't really exist. It's just random variance working their favor. Or they're cold, and they think that it's bound to turn. It has to. I just lost, 13 of my last 14 bets. I have to. It doesn't have to turn. The future bets are independent of the previous bets. It's no different than the guys who are at the roulette table, like writing down the numbers, thinking that it's going to come up more often than it's the
8 reds in a row. There's no way. And then there's 2 types of people. There's the guy that's like 8 reds in a row, I'm going black. And then there's the guy who's like 8 reds in a row, we're on a winning streak, red. We got to ride red until it doesn't hit.
There are biases that exist.
Crazy.
That people don't realize exist. But whenever I hear the word, that sentence, I know my betting patterns, nobody knows their betting patterns.
Unless, actually, he's about to say about tracking your bets. So let's let him.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe he's going to redeem
some good
himself.
Advice here.
Always track your bets.
Track everything. Track everything. Right now, I can open up Google Sheets and show you every single bet I've made for the last 2 years. I'm sure a lot of you can do that also. This is huge. This is important information, man. This information can be used in so many ways. Maybe you're like, I just had back-to-back losing college football Saturdays. I checked. I haven't had 3 losing college football Saturdays in a row ever.
No, tell me he's going to double down. Play it, Zach.
In the last 3 years of tracking, I haven't had it once. So I'm going to bet bigger this weekend. Or maybe you're noticing some mistakes. Maybe you're noticing some bad tendencies. Maybe you notice that you bet 70% favorites and only 30% underdogs. In the NFL, underdogs have cashed more than favorites since 2000. It's not significant. It's like 50.
Okay. I actually thought this was going to end well. So always track your bets is actually very good advice. Sound advice.
He mentioned he uses Google Sheets. As I mentioned earlier, unplug it, use betstamp. It's just automated for you. So when you track the games, it'll auto update everything in real time, as well as grade all your player props, game props, stuff like that. Show you the line history, CLV, slice and dice it, however which way you want. You don't have to go grade in the right column. Did this win, lose, win, lose, lose. Automatic for you.
So for his second point here, fave dog patterns, there is a lot of utility in tracking all of your bets and picking up on that stuff, especially if you model. Like if you originate games, you make your own numbers on games, and then you were tracking your bets and you're like, hey, listen, I'm betting 80% faves. I'm betting 80% home teams. You might have some sort of bias in your model that you need to correct. So that's generally good. The win-loss patterns, man. I believe he said, I know that if I've had 2 losing college football Saturdays, I never have lost 3 weeks in a row. Or 3.
You fucking kidding me?
3.
Where did we get that one?
That's been plugged in there for a while. But yeah,
nice, Zach.
That one is no, that's not why you should track your bets. Because again, these are patterns that don't exist. It's not real. I believe Simon Hunter said that too on the one we broke down with Ross Tucker. Remember? It's I've never had 2 losing NFL Sundays in a row. Do you remember that?
It rings a bell.
Vaguely, I remember him saying I know that I'm not going to lose a second Sunday in a row.
No, there's something about that, and then he said I've had losing months, or I've never had a losing month, but I've had back-to-back-to-back losing weeks or something like that.
It was something weird. Anyway, sorry to derail. But yeah, that's not why you track your bets. That's actually horrendous advice. Again, it's more so that you can, first of all, see your closing line value in specific sports, whether the market's working in your direction, and yes, pick up potentially on where you might have some biases in a model or whatever. But I would say that don't use your past betting history where you're you know what? I never lost 3 straight days of NBA. Never. So I'm going to absolutely
obliterate this
the board
like button.
Today. I am going to. Oh my god!
Hey, because we're gearing this channel towards education, and I'm such a nice guy. This is what you should be tracking if you're not tracking on Betstamp. Number one, go over to Betstamp, track on Betstamp. But if you're not, and you want to track on Google Sheets for whatever reason, okay? These are the most important things you got to track. Number one, okay, is the sportsbook you bet the play at. Listen to that. Why would you be tracking the sportsbook you bet the play at? All right? The main reason is a lot of books are sharper than other books and are harder to beat, and a lot of books are easier than other books, are really easy to beat. Meaning, if you keep losing at two particular sports books over a prolonged sample size and you keep winning money at the same three sports books, that is likely not a coincidence. You need to realize fast which ones those are. And then next time you like the Marlins, but they're the best price here, and they're the best price on this other book that you always lose at, and the book that you always win at has the Cincinnati Reds as the best price, then you know what? Maybe the Reds were actually the better bet versus the Marlins at that particular price. That is number one thing you want to track, is a sports book you place at, and then you want to slice and dice by bet type. So you can go into that. So you want to do, let's say you want to do MLB. So your column is by sport. Your next column is bet type. So it'd be player prop, game prop, spread, total, money line. Your next column after that, risk, win, odds that you bet it at, closing odds, game, result, and then like WL, push, win-loss push, and then last column will be the amount you won. You can put that into a nice pivot table, slice it and dice it up the way you want. Obviously, you can track way more than that, and Betstamp does that all for you. But those are the core things that you absolutely need to track. Move on.
Let's go.
0.6%, I think. But if you're betting 70% favorites, that might be something you want to address. Maybe you notice that 75% of your bets are on the home team. Meanwhile, the home team's only cashing at a 49.5% rate. The point being is it
doesn't matter what rate they're cashing at, by the way.
Over what sample? Over a long enough sample, the home team versus the should be cashing higher, but it's like it depends on the odds.
Yeah, I like tracking because it's very clear. You can very clearly identify patterns, and when I refer to patterns, it's like where your model might have bias, and you can look into it. Has nothing to do with, well, historically, home teams have won at this rate, so I should only be betting X amount going forwards. A lot of times it's just to catch errors, but all this stuff is valuable, not the win-loss patterns. The rest of the stuff is valuable, and I do like to track as much as humanly possible. I think that's important. It's an important message to get across. I just wouldn't use any sort of historical patterns based off of your own betting. Number of days you've won in a row, number of bets you've won in a row, lost in a row. Like, that is just like irrelevant, completely irrelevant.
You need to find your own patterns. It's very important. Look, basically that's all I have. I'm kind of rambling at this point, so I'm going to cut this video off. I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope you heard something, at least one thing that sticks with you. Thanks again, as always, for the support. Can't thank you guys enough for watching the content.
All right. We're gonna.
It's done.
I assume he's just wrapping up at this point. We're gonna.
No hard feelings, Kyle. Obviously, we're just ripping on the advice. I'm sure you're a nice guy and whatever, and it was a good video. And I think he is trying to
So here's the thing.
Make a difference. Definitely not trying to scam anyone or anything like that. Sell his picks, whatnot. So all good right now. I'm
gonna speak my mind, right? Which is.
These comments, bro.
I want to see these comments in a second, but I think this is good intent, right? But it's bad advice. And I don't excuse that, personally. Like, I don't think this guy's a con artist or a scammer. I genuinely believe he believes what he is speaking to be, like, sound strategy. It's not. This is a bad video. This is not, like, how to bet for income. You are not going to be able to, nobody is going to be able to watch this video and improve as a sports bettor. You're not. There are some good points in here, but they're mixed in with so many bad points that it's just not going to help you. And it's a sad reflection of the state of the industry when I do read through these comments.
Yeah, this was
that
brutal
second
when I read
comment.
those.
I've never seen a video that was so honest and actually meant to help people instead of scam them. Mad respect for, I guess, okay, that's fair. But like, there's so much in here where people believe that they have they found
You are the
secret
man.
sauce.
So glad I found this channel.
I mean, listen, I could go through all of these right now. It's tough. It's tough because the average person.
This man is out here speaking facts.
I know. Yeah, but Johnny, the average person cannot discern what is real from what is fake in the space. And this was like, if we go back to Bet Bash last year with me and Ravel, right? Like, this is the whole point I was trying to communicate to him the entire time, which he couldn't understand. He couldn't, it's like there's people who are now thrust into the spotlight or developed these brands. Like, what's his subscriber base on here? 100K, something like that. Those are like the big sports betting YouTubers. 85K. This video has 112,000 views. And all the comments,
343 comments, largely positive.
are positive. And it's tough because, like, I cringe and I think back to, Rob as an 18-year-old or 20-year-old sitting in like my university lab betting on Swedish Elitserien soccer.
With your old buddy martingale.
With my actual buddy Gino. Me and him just betting on whatever team Peter Forsberg was going to play on in the Swedish Elitserien League while the NHL was in a lockout. I would have watched.
06? 05?
Yeah, that was roughly 05, I think, whenever the lockout was. I would have watched this stuff and I would have ate it up and probably like implemented all this stuff because I had no clue and I didn't know any better. And it's tough. It's honestly tough for me to watch this because a bunch of people down the road, we will get views on this video because there'll be people searching for him. We're gonna get the views and we're gonna get smoked in the comments. Not that I actually care anymore, but it's just a sad reflection of the state of sports betting right now. Spanky had an interesting tweet today, which is like kind of along the same lines. He quote tweeted, I think David Purdom, who was talking about like 6 years ago today, and it was related to the American sports betting. Spanky said, having more outs and line sets is never a bad thing. Our betting business is bigger than ever. The major negative of regulated bookmaking is seeing so many dirty, slimy cockroaches come out of nowhere pretending to be sports betting experts. With more prey comes more predators, and the opportunity for deceit will not go wasted. Be careful out there. There's a big difference between making a living talking about betting sports versus making a living betting sports. And I'm not saying this guy, Sauce, is a dirty, slimy cockroach. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I do think that there's a lot of stuff out there nowadays that is just, unfortunately, horrible advice that if someone was going to come across would actually make them a worse bettor than they are by not knowing anything, because now you're implementing strategies that can lead you to going bust quicker because of upping your bet units based off of like fake patterns and martingale strategy and stuff like that. So it's a tough one. This is very different than the previous ones we did.
We should reach out to him and see if he wants to do an episode.
Yeah,
or maybe not.
I believe he will likely say no after this one. Maybe the goal going forward should be to reach out these guys before we do the reactions.
Oh, that's your call.
I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do with them because they're just going to be incredibly hostile interviews.
Well, we're not really a reaction channel, right? We're just a regular podcast. This is our third one of these
out of 154 episodes.
Yeah, honestly, they're pretty fun to do, to be honest.
They are. This one, once I saw Martin,
he had us, man, in the first half.
Once I saw Martingale system up on screen or whatever, I briefly thought that he was like, I really thought he was going to say like, don't do this. That's where I thought that was going to go. This is a betting education video, right? Would you not think that that's where it was going to go?
Yeah, it'd be pretty
and then like
easy.
Right afterwards, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, we got track everything. Like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And then it's like, you got to track all these so you can tell when what your betting patterns are. Well,
it is what it is, Pizzola.
Appreciate everyone who tuned in to this week's episode. If you did enjoy it, let us know by smashing the like button down below. Even if you didn't enjoy it, still smash the like button because it helps us in some capacity or another. Comments, we always appreciate them at any time. And of course, we have hit our 7K subs mark, but I'm looking at last week's video. Denny Montoro, 58% of you who watched that video are not subscribed here to Circles Off. That video has an average watch time of over 20 minutes. Like, people enjoyed this thing. So make sure that if you're not subbed here on Circles Off, you do hit that subscribe button. Like I said right off the top, leading up to football season, some changes coming. We're going to lean a little bit more into the educational stuff as well. So be sure to tune in and make sure you're subbed here on Circles Off.
Plus EV, minus EV?
Yeah, I got one.
You got a plus EV, minus EV?
Yeah, it can go either way. One way or
Okay,
another.
yeah, I got a plus EV, but the negative EV is doing too much of the plus EV. So, without further ado.
Yeah, I don't like. This was. I thought about this segment while I was in an airport once. I don't know how I thought about it, but at the end of the day, like, we should have just stuck with a plus EV or minus EV because they're interchangeable.
They are interchangeable.
Like, there's the plus, and negative EV could just be the inverse of what you were going to do for the. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's the inverse. I'm saying, okay, I'll just say it. So my plus EV move of the week is to, when you are making decisions like with friends, things like that, like if somebody calls you out, like if you say you're going to do something, whether you're joking or whatnot, and someone then says like, I'll bet you on this, like, no, bet me, give me odds. Like, I'll take that bet.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to legit price the odds and then let them bet yes or no. And what I mean by that is if you actually do it, the reason it's plus EV is like, let's say Zach and I are talking and I'm like, oh, like it's going to take me like, it'll take me 15 minutes. I can go run to that store and come back. And he's like, I'll give you plus 100 that you can't do that. You just said it. Like, you got to take that bet now. And it's not because whatever, to be a dick or whatnot. It's just like, if you're saying stuff in your life, should certainly say them with intent. And then on the flip side of that, if somebody offers you like, okay, I think this bet should be plus 170, and then they're allowing you to bet plus 70 or minus 70 on either side, you got to take a side. Keep it going. It'll improve the conversations within friends. However, the negative EV is doing too much of this because if you do this all the time, it's just a hassle. So my plus EV move of the week is to be cognizant that if you say something, you should have to do that. But at the same time,
Don't do too much.
don't do too much of this.
Okay. You want to hear
Is that
something?
fair? Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good. I
I
do want to settle an F1 car building.
Bro, I've been saying I'll do that though. I've literally been
The
saying I'll do
logistics
that.
of setting this up, we already know that this can never be decided.
No, the thing is this, like, I'm saying, oh, I can build this thing in a year. It's a massive commitment for me to just like take a year off to do this of my
It'd
life.
have to
Like
be a
one of
seven-figure bet.
it would have to be a massive bet.
Yeah.
And it would have to be like a massive bet that's worth me spending a year else off of something. Like
For those who are new here, by the way, and have no idea what we're talking about, this goes back to 100 episodes ago where Johnny believes that he could build an F1 car by himself. Given all the pieces
and machinery.
and
required.
machinery, he'll build the car and he would have to drive it for a lap around the track, was what we said.
Yes, it doesn't have to win the race. It just needs to make a lap.
Okay.
I play a drinking game where you everyone sits around. Everyone has a partner. You take you take a hat and you write tasks on the hat. So it'll be like push-ups in a minute, and you don't write a number or anything, but you do that. So then it would be like me and someone against Rob and Johnny, and then basically what I would say is like,
It's a good game.
I pull it out and then say, okay, my partner can do 10 push-ups in 1 minute. And Rob says, Johnny can do 15 push-ups in 1 minute. And we go back and forth until we hit a number that I say, okay, prove it.
Yes.
And then if you win, if Rob proves it or Johnny proves it, he can do them, then my team drinks. If you can't
So
do
you
it,
either
drink.
outbid the guy or let him do the thing if you think it's too high for him to do.
Yeah, so you can just go back and forth until someone calls the other person out. It's really, really fun.
Solid game.
Yeah, it's
Solid.
really fun.
What Adam Sandler movie is it where there's a guy that says, prove it? Do you know what I'm talking about? Does anyone know what? That's all I
Probably
can
the
think of.
longest yard.
Prove it. I don't know why that's all I could think about. I think it's Big Daddy.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Is it Big Daddy?
Yeah, it's his gay friends. Remember?
Oh.
It's one of the guy. Anyways, great. I don't know why that's all I could think about when Zach said prove.
I don't watch many
Completely
movies.
real.
I recently watched Big Daddy.
Yeah?
Yeah, good movie.
Prove it. I don't remember what it was.
Fair
Okay.
enough. All right, we're out.
No, I got one.
So sorry.
Cut me off? Let's save it. Could be a plus EV or it could be a minus EV. This is general life advice I'm going to give to people. Don't vouch for other people. I just want to make this explicitly clear. Don't vouch for people. Like, especially people, this is not from, I'm seeing a lot of this in the betting space. This is where it's coming from, okay? This is not me personally or whatever. I've seen a lot of people just go down bad paths where they vouch for someone else. If someone reaches out to you and says, hey, so-and-so, do you know this guy? You can say, yes, I know this person. This is the details of what we've done together before. I've never had an issue with them before. Do not vouch for people where it's going to fall back on you. You never truly know who people are. You could have known someone for 20 years. You don't know what they're up to in life or whatever. It's just a bad strategy. Just don't do this. It's bad. It's reckless. Let other people know. Johnny comes up to me and says, hey, Rob, I want to work with this guy or whatever. I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I know that guy. I personally have never had any issues with payment or we've worked in this capacity or whatever. But don't ever put yourself on the hook for somebody else's losses. Like, don't do that, period.
Especially not an infinite vouch.
Yeah.
Maybe make it a nominal vouch. I would vouch for Rob. I'd vouch for Rob. I'll say it on the air. I'd vote for Rob up to $25,000
That's what
damages. I'd vote for Rob up to $25,000.
I wouldn't vouch for you.
You wouldn't vote for me up to $25,000.
I wouldn't vouch for you.
Wow, bro, that just makes me look bad on the air.
No, it's not. We don't discuss our business with one another. We just do our own separate thing. I have no idea what you're up to. Zero, which is fine. I don't give a shit. I honestly don't care.
I'll tell you how big of a scumbag I am.
Wow, that is true as well. I'm gonna do a reaction video of Rob as well as Sunday Buffet, breaking him down.
My actual betting partners, I wouldn't vouch for them because you don't know, man. You don't know what these people are up to.
I would vote for Zach at least up to 3,500. You would vote for Zach up to 3,500.
What's the super contest or the Circa Millions entry? 1,500 plus
HST
plus
and proxy.
I vouch for Zach for a couple G's. Okay, for 25 G's, fine. I would.
Up to a certain amount, yeah, you'd vouch. Because like the worst that happens is you're on the hook for that amount. But yes, I agree. An unlimited vouch, actually, I guess I'll call it an uncapped vouch.
Uncapped vouch.
Negative EV move of the week.
Maybe I'll just think really, really hard about who you're vouching for and what the repercussions could be. Let's just put it that way. It's happened a lot. Honestly, the last month, I'm not going to get into details, but like offline in the space, there's been like a million people vouching for other people who disappeared off the planet and whatever. It's like, don't put yourself in that position where some guy's going to run away who you don't even know who their name is or whatever, and the money's going to fall back on you. Don't do it. I'll vouch for you for 25.
Thank you.
Canadian, not US.
I was vouching 25 US. But hey, listen, appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys are the best. Rob said once we hit 7K subs, he's releasing the Circles Off merch. So we're going to hold him to that.
Did I actually say that?
No, he didn't. But release it. All right. Peace out, everybody.